Welcome to the INFOWARS Nightly News. I'm your host, Jakari Jackson. It's November 4th, 2015, and here's a look at our top stories.
Tonight, why are so many Americans taking prescription drugs? The percentage has risen to 59% of the adult population. Plus, Gloria Steinem says you're a racist if you attack Planned Parenthood. And lightsabers are banned at the Star Wars movie screening because some people think they are simulated weapons. Oh boy. Mask and face paint also not allowed.
If you will not fight, then you will meet your destiny.
Plus, an INFOWARS exclusive report inside the CIA 9/11 boneyard.
All of the aircraft used on 9/11 were hybrid aircraft created for the purpose of being droned.
If they can remote control them, they can nerve gas everybody and remote control them into the building.
That's coming up next on the INFOWARS Nightly News.
And it's that type of behavior that spurred me to do the research to develop a true nutraceutical formula that was designed to smooth out and help children focus. All of our children are hit with modern mind control. Television, music, fast food, GMOs, sugars, you name it. Young humans have not yet developed their nervous system and are being hammered daily by globalist concoctions. It's no wonder they can't focus and calm down and then are put on dangerous psychotropic drugs. Working with my team, we set out to find the best formula with the highest quality ingredients that children would actually like and take. We worked with the leading manufacturer in nutritional supplements that are safe for children to bring you the most affordable and powerful calming formula out there. Introducing Child Ease with herbs and calming extracts like chamomile and lemon balm and essential nutrients that taste great. Obtain your Child Ease today at InfoWarsLife.com. That's Child Ease exclusively at InfoWarsLife.com.
It was just yesterday that we brought you the news about Verizon spying on the emails of its customers. And this is nothing new for Verizon. They've been involved in many other questionable practices in the past. But now we're starting to look at the things that our government is doing. And one person, Jason Chaffetz, is coming out and saying that we need to end the stingray surveillance. Congressman introduced his bill to end warrantless stingray surveillance. Stingrays are one of a class of suitcase-sized devices known as cell site simulators, which work by pretending to be a cell phone tower in order to strip data and metadata from any phones which connect to them. They are used by at least 13 federal agencies and at least 50 local and state police departments, according to the ACLU. Now, I was talking to David Knight earlier today, and he made a very good point. As great as legislation like this is, we shouldn't have to have some type of amendment or bill or addendum or anything else to keep the government from spying on us. We already have the Fourth Amendment. Just like I went out and watched that new Tom Hanks movie this past weekend, The Bridge of Spies, I believe it was called. And they were talking about various constitutional protections. And as at one point when he's talking to this guy from the CIA, and he's like, don't be a Boy Scout with me. This is America. We don't have a rule book here. And Tom Hanks says, yeah, we have the United States Constitution. That's our rule book, and we need to abide by that. And that's exactly what we need to do. And it's not just in this, it's in any area where laws may be questionable. We need to look, basically, is this a violation of people's constitutional rights? Because as Mr. Chaffetz points out in this article, a lot of times these police officers, they're on a fishing expedition. They're not looking for anything in particular. They think that in this motel across the street, there may or may not be some type of drug activity. So now they're using a stingray or some other type of surveillance to track the movements, the phone calls, the text, or web surfing habits of everybody who's in that building. That's completely illegal. You need to have a specific place, specific person in the contents that you're looking for. You can't just go on these, as they call them, fishing expeditions. So I definitely hope that this does pass, but it's a very sad day that we need a bill just to hold people accountable. Now let's talk about the iPhone, about these Apple products in general, because they have a reputation of being pretty secure, and by and large, I guess to an extent they are, but like anything, they can have backdoors or other things built into them. But now we're coming at it at a different angle. We actually have a group of hackers that have been awarded millions of dollars, or excuse me, $80 million for a bounty for ISO zero-day attack. On Monday, the security startup Zero Diem announced that it's agreed to pay out that seven-figure sum to a team of hackers who have successfully developed a technique that can hack any iPhone or iPad that can be tricked into visiting a carefully crafted website. Zero Diem describes that technique as their own jailbreak, a term used by iPhone owners to hack their own phones to install unauthorized apps. But make no mistake, Zero Diem and its founder have made it clear that its customers include governments who no doubt use such zero-day hacking techniques on unwitting surveillance targets. So there you go again. They get you coming and they get you going, because I believe it was Apple who said earlier this year, maybe it was last year, that they're not going to hand over your records to law enforcement, which is, a good deal. Not that I believe that wholly, but it's a nice statement, a nice thing to think about. But now you have companies like Zero Diem who say, yeah, not only will we hack into your information, but we're just going to flat out sell it to police departments or to federal agencies, which a lot of companies do anyway. So I do give them applause for at least admitting that they're doing these practices. But, I'm not a big fan of somebody stealing my data just to expressly give it to the government. Not that I want them to give it to other people, because whether you get on Facebook, you get on Twitter or whatever else, people can track your habits, especially on pages like Facebook, because you may Google, getting a divorce, right? And now all of a sudden you get all these ads on your Facebook page or any other page for, visit such and such divorce lawyer or whoever else to give you all this divorce information. So you have to be very careful what type of information you put into there. But like I said, they will try to find a way to hack your information regardless. So just do the best you can. And I remember I was talking to Wayne Madsen, who has a special report coming up later on in our show. He used to work for the NSA. And I asked Wayne when he came here to Austin one time, I said, Wayne, what type of encryption software, what type of measures do you use to protect yourself from hackers? And he says, I don't use any. I said, really? And this is a guy, who actually had ties to the NSA. And he said, encryption and all these other things, they may stop a hacker at Starbucks, but the NSA can hack into your computer even if it's not on. So basically that's what it is. So it's hard to keep your information away from the feds, but you can take different measures to protect yourself from other means of intrusion. Now let's talk about something that's an intrusion on your personal physical being. Prescription drugs. Now, I'm not saying drugs or medication in and of itself is bad. I'm talking about the overuse, overprescription of drugs. And Mike Huckabee had said in the last GOP debate, and I don't agree with everything he said, but he made a very interesting point, that it doesn't matter. You can ban this, you can ban that, you can push prescription drugs, but until people decide to change the way they eat, change the way they live, and go about their daily lives, it really doesn't matter, because we're ingesting all this toxic food into our personal beings, and we'll talk about that in just 1 second. But more on this, more Americans than ever using prescription drugs. And most seem to be related to obesity, with cholesterol and blood pressure drugs leading the pack, researchers report in the Journal of the American Medical Association. So they go on to document things like Zocor, cholesterol-lowering drug, and other things that are associated to the statin drugs. So like I said before, I have no issue with medications or even vaccines. That's a hot topic we talk about a lot. The vaccine in and of itself isn't bad. It's, some of the things that sneak into the vaccine, or even some of the effects of the vaccine in and of itself. Case in point, you go get a flu shot and people say you're an anti-vaxxer. No, I'm not an anti-vaxxer. I went to Walgreens, I went to CVS, and the pharmacist handed me a piece of medical literature that said that this vaccine can give me things including but not limited to diarrhea, nausea, and vomiting, just as bad as the flu itself. So why would I want to take it? And that's kind of the view I have on prescription drugs, not to mention the effect that it has on your pocketbook. We've seen numerous reports of price gouging. You can go to this country, go someplace else and get it at a very reduced rate. So why is it so expensive here? And I think it was an article, I believe it referred to Canada, but they're talking about the world's most expensive drug just got more expensive. And these guys saying, well, it's justified because X, Y, and Z. Like, no, bro, I don't think it really is. And not to mention, you see these pharmaceutical commercials every time that you turn on the television. But as we're talking about your health, we have this article. Mom died after drinking Pepsi Max every day. Now, I will say it's an interesting story, but it is somewhat of a misleading headline, because yes, this woman did drink a lot of Pepsi Max, which I definitely would not recommend you drink any type of pop on a daily basis. But beyond that, she was drinking also a lot of vodka. The report says at times she was drinking an entire liter of vodka a day. And the Pepsi comes into play because it eventually got to a point where she was mixing the Pepsi in the vodka or whatever her drink of choice was. So it's kind of a half-truth article, but it brings up just this whole notion of eating junk food that I was talking about in our last article. It reminds me of the story about the girl, I believe she was in the UK, who ate nothing but chicken nuggets, and then she got sick. And she was like, I can't figure out why I'm getting sick. And granted, she was a young girl, a teenage girl, so she probably didn't understand. But a lot of your chicken nuggets, or at least here in the States, I'm not sure what the recipe is in other parts of the world, but at least here in the States, the chicken nuggets are full of silicone breast implant materials. So, which is to say you're eating, a big box of breast implants and other type of fillers and artificial ingredients. And if you eat that for a long period of time, of course it's going to make you sick. So if you're going to eat fast food, do it sparingly. It's like my dad always told me, you can eat anything you want, just don't eat it all the time. Same thing with your Pepsi Max, but also don't mix your Pepsi Max with vodka. That's just my own personal opinion on how to do things. And now, to take the choice completely out of your hands and just tell you what you're going to do, the new Star Wars movie, which is making headlines all around the world. This movie, I got to give it to these guys. I guess it's Disney who makes it now. J.J. Abrams, I think George Lucas, he's still around, but he's not directly involved in the whole shebang for this movie. These guys have done such a masterful job talking about Star Wars without actually talking about Star Wars. They don't put Luke Skywalker in the posters, and now there's some big conspiracy theory about whether Luke's going to be in the movie or who he's going to play or all these other things, saying Star Wars is racist or, feminist or anti-male or whatever the terminology may be. But now it's gone to a whole new step, a galaxy far, far away from common sense, and now they're banning you from actually bringing a lightsaber into the movie theater. They say that a lightsaber is a simulated weapon. So you can't bring a lightsaber, or you cannot paint your face like Darth Maul, and you also cannot wear any type of face coverings like a Darth Vader or what's the guy's name, Boba Fett helmet or mask, which is completely ridiculous. They also ban things like Han Solo's blaster and things of that nature. And I'm guessing it has something to do with the infamous Aurora shooting. They don't want any type of incident to occur like that, which I can understand, but a lightsaber, you can't bring in a lightsaber. This is the most ridiculous freaking thing. Are we going to shut down Comic-Cons now? And we're not going to have San Diego Comic-Con anymore because you can't show up with your lightsaber. Or are they going to ban guys from making the homemade web shooters? Or what's that guy on YouTube? He makes all the superhero stuff. He made some retractable Wolverine claws and a flamethrower, and he made an Iron Man laser and all this stuff. Is that guy gonna get swatted now? Who knows? It's completely ridiculous, but just like we've always said, you can't have Hello Kitty bubble guns. You can't shoot, toy guns in your front yard. If somebody takes an umbrella to a college campus, they shut it down and send in the SWAT team. And this is just an extension of that, to say that you can't even have a good time at the movie theater dressing up like Vader or Darth Maul or some other type of character. But even if you can't have the fake weapons, you can definitely have the real weapons, because we see now gun sales at record high for the 6th straight month. And that's exactly right. The FBI numbers released in October show that there were close to 2 million instant background checks. It makes it the 6th consecutive month that we see a record number of checks. And it also constitutes a 300,000 increase in checks on figures from this time last year. So people out there going and buying their firearms en masse. And the Second Amendment doesn't just apply to firearms. It pertains to pretty much any weapon. But we're just using firearms here as an example because people understand that they need to have the ability to protect themselves. And as I always say, nothing against the police, nothing against the military, by and large. I have issues here and there with them, but by and large, it's full of good people who just want to protect their communities and protect their country, but they can't be there to protect you all the time. That's why you need to have the means to protect yourself. That's why you see the police chiefs coming out in Detroit, in Milwaukee, and these other places saying that you need to have the means to protect yourself. That's why they want you to have a firearm. And if you don't have a firearm in places like Venezuela, you may just be a victim of a crime, or if you do have a firearm, rather, because now they're attacking police and taking their firearms, which is to say, if they don't have